Park the shuttle truck, ditch the lift lines. Niner is introducing 2 new e-bikes today, and we're gonna be talking specifically about the long travel 180 mil front and rear WFO E9. Retailing for $6,295. The Niner WFO E is their 180 bike. It's got a RockShox Super Deluxe coil sprung rear end with a RockShox Yari RC fork up front. Handling the drivetrain duties is a SRAM SX Eagle kit, and we've got some Stans Flow D wheels wrapped in Maxxis Minion tires. Now, Niner is new to the e-bike game. Probably gonna be a contentious thing for some folks who are still on the anti-e-bike wagon. But Niner has always been of the mindset that they're in this business to promote fun and to make vehicles that will take their fans and riders into new places off-road. Niner chose to build the WFO out of 6061 aluminum for a couple of key reasons. The first was they really wanted to stay closer to that $6,000 price point, you know, getting this thing in at $6,295 rather than going with carbon would have put them up at the $7,000 mark. And a second reason is that aluminum handles heat better. So obviously you got the battery and the motor, both are, you know, producing heat inside that frame. So an aluminum frame will manage that heat better. It will cool quicker and essentially give you more power, more range. Speaking of power and range, we've got the Bosch Performance CX line. With the recent update, it is now putting out 85 Newton meters of torque. And this bike comes with a 625 watt hour internal battery, accessible by this little key here and under that heavy duty cover on the down tube. So here above the motor, you'll see that the shock is protected nicely by this bit of frame material that's wrapping around, preventing any sort of debris, slush, dirt, or sand from getting thrown in there or falling down into the motor battery area, which a lot of bikes can kind of collect a lot of junk down there. So that's definitely a nice feature. And as you look above into the rocker and the suspension setup, Niner has gone with a 4-bar horsed link suspension design. Niner worked with RockShox both on shock tune and also with their designers and engineers to create a new leverage rate and suspension ratios to give this bike some seated suppleness and sensitivity off the top, but still a nice progressive curve there at the end, so you're not blowing through travel on this 56-pound bike when you're landing some drops or sending it kind of off some big jumps. So moving to the geometry on the WFO, very capable, well-rounded as you'd expect from, you know, a brand like Niner who's been building bikes and knows what aggressive riders in that 180 niche are gonna want. We've got a size large, and like all the other bikes in the lineup, it does have adjustable geometry, and we opted to keep this bike mostly in the low setting, although we rode it quite a bit in the high, and we'll continue to switch back and forth throughout our testing to see what we like better. The size large has a 465 millimeter to 470 millimeter reach, and the stack height comes in at 631 to 635 millimeters. The head tube angle sits at 63.5 to 64 degrees, and a seat tube angle goes from 76 to 76.5, and it gives the overall bike wheelbase 1,270 millimeters to really tackle the terrain. And the 449 millimeter chainstays out back feel stiff. We're happy with how they track. Having that 27.5-inch rear wheel definitely kind of allowed Niner to tuck the bike in a little bit, give it some stiffer wheel build options, a little more rigidity, while that 29er up front really can kind of roll over and pick up steam. This is not our long-term detailed review, but we've definitely spent quite a bit of time on this bike so far, honestly, because we were so excited to ride it. How does it fare? Really well, actually. We can say that this bike is really awesome, actually. At 56 pounds, right off the bat, we were kind of put off this little kink in the top tube. Some of the spec stuff, you know, we thought for the price, it was maybe a little iffy, but man, once we got this bike out on the trail, our perceptions changed quite a bit. Performance-wise, this bike is on par with everything else we've been riding this year, which is a lot of bikes. We were able to take it out on some super gnarly big days where we'd get, close to 6,000 feet of descending in a couple of hours on some, near vert terrain. And we've, brought it back over to Bend where it's real flat and pedally. As a whole, a solid bike. We'd love to see it be a little lighter, but some spec changes could improve that in the future as we kind of keep the bike for a while and make it our own. Stable, planted, supple suspension. It just really traces the ground. 56 pounds, although we thought might be kind of a deal breaker at first, is proving to not be as big of an issue, especially on a big 180 travel bike like this. So, overall, solid bike. We're gonna keep riding it. We're gonna get back to you guys in the future with a long-term review. Make sure you check out the full story and interview with Niner and some of their athletes at theloamwolf.com. And thank you guys again for watching it, and have a good day. Catch you guys later.